Want to know how Star Wars Shatterpoint works without watching an hour video? Well, I watch those videos so you don't have to. Objective of the game. Players choose a mission pack. This determines where objective points are placed on the board and what struggle cards are chosen for the game. These struggle cards determine what objective points are active for the 3 phases of the game. Each phase has 3 possible struggle cards that are chosen at random. Players control these objective points by having the most units within range 2 of the objective. Scoring these objectives are recorded on the struggle tracker. Each player takes one end of the tracker. As an example, player 1 here and player 2 here. Players want to get the center struggle cube to their side's black momentum cube. When they do, they win that phase. Players move the struggle cube by scoring objectives on the board. You can add more momentum cubes to get closer to the struggle cube in various ways, like wounding an enemy unit, if the struggle cube moves back to 0 after scoring, and if the player scores an objective point but is unable to move the struggle token to their side. Certain characters can have abilities that can move the struggle cube outside of these situations, like Anakin when he wounds certain characters. The struggle token then moves towards the Anakin player's side. Terrain. Terrain gives cover on defense, allowing you to roll an extra die on defense. Any terrain under range 2, units can freely move through, and anything taller, a unit must slow down to climb up. Terrain can have ingress points like ladders, ropes, stairs, elevators, etc. that if you end your movement on, you can freely move up it. Moving down from terrain is free and can perform a full movement. Units. Units get 2 cards, a stats card that contains their abilities, stamina, and durability, and their stance card, which determines what they do in combat. Certain units give you force tokens to use to affect the game and use unit abilities. Active and reactive abilities use force tokens. These symbols here determine how many tokens you need to use the ability. These tokens are refreshed every time you reshuffle your order deck. Units also have innate abilities, which are always free. Innate abilities have 2 subcategories, tactics and identities, which are limited to certain units. If a unit has 2 models, actions, abilities, and negative effects happen to both models at the same time. If you do a move action, both models move. If they get wounded, they both suffer negative effects, but are not required to be near each other. Activating units. Every unit has an activation card that goes in a deck with a Shatterpoint card. These cards are drawn at random to determine which units activate. The Shatterpoint card acts as a wild card that lets you activate any unit, whether it had been activated or not. Force tokens can be used in this step to hold a unit from activating. You can only hold 1 unit at a time. Activating a unit. When a unit is activated, the unit only gets 2 actions. The 2 major ones being move and attack. Units can take 3 other actions to improve the unit. Focus gives you an extra attack die for that turn. Take cover, that unit is push speed 1 in any direction and gain a hunkered down token, which gives you an extra defense die that is not lost after an attack. It is only lost after the unit gets in melee or the end of the round. And finally, recover, which allows you to remove 1 damage token or 1 condition token from you or someone within range 2 of you. Movement is done with tools similar to Star Wars Legion, except the unit can be placed anywhere touching along the movement tool. Attacking. Units have ranged attacks and melee attacks. Melee units do not need to be in base contact, they just need to be within range 2. There's only 1 set of attack dice and defense dice. How many dice you use is determined by the unit's stance card here. Attack dice are D8s with 4 symbols on them: critical, expertise, hit, and failure. Criticals cannot be cancelled, and hits are normal, they can be blocked. Expertise increases the effectiveness of your roll, depending on if you roll enough. This is determined by your unit stance card. This chart shows if you roll enough expertise, it will modify the dice to be additional hits or crits. When rolling for defense, your unit can only roll the amount of defense dice that are labeled on your stance card, so it's possible to receive more hits than you have dice for. Defense dice are D6 with 3 symbols: block, expertise, and failure. Like with attack, expertise increases your roll the more you have, based on the chart on your unit's stance card. For every successful hit, the attacking unit gets to use the abilities of their stance tree, which determine how much damage the defending unit takes. As you go further down the tree, it allows you to move and debuff the defending unit, such as the unit not being able to use hunkered down tokens, their expertise chart, or the next time they activate, take 3 damage. An example of how the stance chart works is if I successfully got 4 hits with Anakin, I get the first 4 squares going from left to right. When I get to a branch, I can only choose one or the other. This red symbol is a unit's stamina threshold. If a unit gets enough damage to equal this, the unit gets a wound token. Units with a wound token cannot contest objectives. If they have abilities, the force requirement on them go up by 1. So if it didn't require a force token, it now costs 1. If it costs 2, it now costs 3. They also cannot enforce a melee penalty, so enemy units can freely move through them. The start of a unit's activation will clear its damage tokens and flip its wound token to an injured token. At the end of activation, the unit has more injury tokens than durability. It is removed from the game. Primary characters have double-sided stance cards that can be flipped during their activation for different benefits, like more attack dice or more defense dice. Strike team building. Each player makes a strike team consisting of 2 squads, each containing 1 primary unit, 1 secondary unit, and 1 supporting unit. Primary unit determines how many points you can spend to build your squad. Squads must contain the same era units, but can be paired with another squad from another era. For example, a Clone Wars Obi-Wan squad with a Darth Vader squad. And that's the major overview for Shatterpoint. All this information is what is available from Adepticon. I was not there, so it's possible I missed some rules here or there. Also, the official rulebook is not released as of making this video, so things could change between now and release. I just hope it gives you a more informed decision before pulling the trigger on a tempting pre-order deal. Till next time, happy gaming.